Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns and welcome to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana, and this will be the 10th and final installment for the Stanford Victims versus OFI trial. I'm not going to go over the contents of the closing arguments because I think it would be moot at this point. And I was pretty close on when the jury got the instructions. Actually, I would have been almost spot on, but the clerk's office had a malware infection that they've been trying to resolve over the last 2 days, and that pushed back the jury getting the case because they had to improvise, and that posed a bit of a problem. But at any rate, a little after 4 o'clock or thereabouts, the jury did go into deliberations. By my computations, they spent 22 minutes in deliberations. I am backing out some time for one quick question that they had about the jury interrogatories, and it involved, there were 2 questions that had to both be answered yes in order to continue on with the form. And there was apparently unclear wording after question 1, which I will state that the OFI, the defense, they did not want this question on the jury interrogatories, but the plaintiff succeeded in keeping it. And that question was, do you find that the OFI had a duty to the investor class members? And the answer was 12-0. They all said yes. The next question said, do you find by a preponderance of the evidence that conduct on the part of the OFI rose to the level of reckless or, and I don't know the exact wording thereafter, so I think maybe willful indifference, whatever it was. At any rate, by an 11-1 vote, the jury voted no. And so that was the end of that. Many of you know I have already stated that I believe this case should have been, I believe that the directed verdict should have been granted. So obviously I feel that the jury made the correct decision on this. I want to compliment the Stanford victims who were in court, that many of them took this in stride. They were very professional towards me, particularly one lady from Austin, Texas. I will say that there was one lady who was not so professional after this verdict was rendered, and I stood outside along with the WAFB and WBRZ reporters, and she did choose to unload in front of those 2 reporters about me, and that's fine. You know, I got, as Calvin Baxter says, I got a broad back, go ahead and take your shots. But you know, this is a blog, and I felt I could give a unique insight into this because of my 6 years as an FDIC examiner. And yes, I did interject my thoughts on the matter. I said that I felt that the plaintiff's case was very underwhelming. I believe that the jury probably felt, it's 11-1, that they felt like it was certainly didn't meet their burden of proof. You have to remember that OFI put on 2 expert witnesses. The plaintiffs put on none, and there was a lot of, well, you should infer this and you should infer that, you know, based on things that do not give the grounds to go in and issue a C&D. So I believe the jury got it right. For everyone who tuned in on these episodes, I want to thank you. This is the last one, and I got a very nice complimentary on the feature preceding this one. It was a lot of work, it was, but for those who wanted a lot more in-depth coverage of what happened rather than just the quick evening news, quick versions. And we're going to give links as soon as they come up. As of the time I'm filming this right now, the only thing that's up is a 6 o'clock live feed that was done by Chris Rosado. We're going to provide the link for it. On it, he said that at the 10 o'clock he would have comments from some victims. I was there as those comments were provided. They did choose to vent, and I can understand that. And I will point out that those who were venting were only there yesterday and today. And that is when one lady chose to go on a complete attack against me in the presence of the 2 reporters, but I explained to her that, unlike them, I can interject my opinion. Find the mainstream media very often injects their opinion. But I think everyone knows that I try to be as candid as I can. And as I said, the prior feature, I got a very nice compliment, and I appreciate those who, at least whether you disagreed or agreed with, I know a lot of people disagreed with my take on the lack of evidence. I mean, it just wasn't there. I don't know any other way to say it. A lot of innuendo and well, you should have seen this, you should have seen. OFI did not have the authority to issue a C&D based on whether it be the proliferation of the CDs. I'm not going to repeat everything because I think I've covered it in depth. And I know it's frustrating for Mr. Price. I know it's frustrating for his victims, but I'm going to be blunt about it. The jury got it right. Notice I'm not celebrating, because whenever you have this kind of a calamity that happens to so many people, it's just a sad situation. But OFI, they have no liability. It's just that, I don't know either what to say. They are not responsible for this, and nor did they have the authority to go in and even try to nip this, even if, if they could have known conclusively that there was fraud, maybe. But the primary responsibility was with the SEC, and they, by their own admission, didn't. They dropped the ball. It's just that simple. But so that's going to wrap it up. I have empathy for all the Stanford victims, but this was not the right forum nor the right defendant to try to recover money. As I reported earlier, and I'm overstated, it's about 19 cents on the dollar that they should be receiving from the TD Bank as well as the 3 other banks that agreed to settle. I know 19 cents is not a lot. I know there's been some other recoveries that I understand, at least from one source, may get them close to 45 or 50 cents on the dollar. So it could always be worse. But thank you so much for those of you who chose to follow these features, and we will resume other reporting. I'm going to be honest, I got to take a break. I've got to take a few days away from this just because I'm tired, mentally, and not so much physically, but mentally I'm kind of drained. So thank you for your dedication. I hope everyone has an enjoyable weekend, and we'll see you back soon on a brand new topic on Sound Off Louisiana. Thank you once again.